Hello and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. So today's topic is mindset, and the title is You Already Know. so, a couple years back, I made a challenge to myself to give up ice cream for a year. Now, I wasn't dieting. I didn't really have any nutritional goal at the moment. I had just felt like every time I'd gone grocery shopping, I just kind of kept picking up like a pint of ice cream, and I didn't really need it, and it felt at times I wasn't even really getting it because I wanted it. It was available, it was there, and I started to feel that there was a lack of control over the craving or the action of getting the ice cream. So I would notice I'm eating this ice cream and it's not the healthiest for me, and I don't even really need it right now. I didn't do a big workout. It's not even feeling like a special treat. I'm just eating it to eat it. And I didn't like that feeling. So back when I was 15 years old is when I first started kind of exercising, and I was doing just push-ups and sit-ups. But I started in part because I felt mentally weak, and I didn't like feeling mentally weak. So I started doing push-ups and sit-ups every night to toughen myself up. 16 is when I got my first weight set, and I just kind of started training from there. And I used physical training to help mentally train myself, to build up my mental strength. So as I've gone throughout my life, if I feel that there's an awareness to mental weakness, it tends to bother me. So I don't like that feeling. I don't like feeling weak. And it's almost like a fear. It's not even like a confidence or some kind of aggressive, alpha male thing. It's also, it's more so that I don't like that it might spiral out of control and make me weak in every area. So if I find a weakness in one area that I deem to be a potential risk, I'll make sure I address it as fast as I can. And that was what this came down to, is with the ice cream, was I felt like I had a mental weakness and that I was having trouble controlling it. So I said, well, screw that shit. I'm not living like that. So I said, I'm not going to eat ice cream for a whole damn year. And I'm just choosing to do it for myself because I want to have the strength. Wasn't a health thing, had no other reasons. I just wanted to be stronger. So I did it. So I didn't have ice cream for a whole year. And I remember at times, one of the ways I motivated myself through moments of cravings was I would actually walk down the ice cream aisle and I would look at some of my favorite flavors and I would try to remember what they tasted like. So I'd remember the sweetness to them or the tanginess or the smoothness. So I would try to remember what those flavors tasted like, the consistency, the flavor, everything. So try to imagine as much as I could about them. And what that gave me was a sensation of, you already know what that tastes like. So therefore there's no need for you to eat it right now. So you already know what it tastes like. You haven't forgotten. It'll taste exactly like it tastes the last 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 times. So it's just going to be the same thing. You've already done this. You already know what that feels like. Okay? So that's one thing I did to motivate myself through that goal, was just reminding myself that I already knew. So I already knew what that tasted like. I didn't need to eat it today. So then I had another time where I had a goal of trying to lose 70 pounds, and it wasn't like a specific, it ended up being 10 months that I ended up losing the 70 pounds, but it was more like I just kind of started, I think in March of a year, and said, hey, by the end of the year, I wonder if I could lose 70 pounds. So it ended up being 10 months, and I lost 70 pounds in 10 months. And part of that goal was I decided to do 20 minutes of cardio every day, and I set the time frame for 6 a.m. Now, sometimes along the way I was traveling or doing odds and ends, so I had to get up earlier, like 4 a.m., or 2 a.m. and some other crazy things. And I eventually was able to get it in every single day for 10 months. So every day for 10 months I did 20 minutes of cardio. And the reason why I picked 6 a.m. was because I'm not a morning person. I actually hate getting up early. So I've gotten better at it, and I do it now as a regular part of my life. But it's not a natural thing to me. It still takes work. It still takes discipline to get up early. And I wanted that discipline at the time because 20 minutes of cardio is not fun to do. And if I had waited at any time within the day There would have been excuses, there would have been reasons, there would have been things that got in the way, and I would have failed on that goal. So I knew if I got up and just got it done in the beginning of the day before everything got in the way, that there would be no excuse. I'd have it in, I'd have it done for the day. So that was my goal, 6 a.m. cardio every day for 10 months, and I did it. Okay? Now, I didn't like it. Like I said, it wasn't natural for me. So every day when the alarm would go off, you'd always feel tired. Your body would be achy. You'd feel like you damn near just went to bed. Didn't feel good to get up. But I reminded myself that I already knew what it felt like to sleep in. I already know what that feels like. Sleeping in feels good now. It feels good today. But then I'll feel kind of remorseful for missing my goal later. I'll kind of feel like guilty, that I didn't get it done. Then I'll also have like self-anger that I allowed myself to be weak and use and rely on the excuse, or rely on whatever bullshit I told myself to not do what I was supposed to do that day. But that's what I tell myself is you already know what it's going to feel like to sleep in. You can hit that snooze button, but you're just going to feel mad and guilty later on. You've done that 1,000 times. And if you do it 1,000 more, nothing is going to change. You're going to have that same feeling every time. And you don't like that feeling. So if you already know what that's going to feel like and you don't like it, then don't do it. So that's been something I've used many, many times in my life for motivation, whether it was, nutritional or training or otherwise. So even just correcting maybe a bad habit I had in life. So maybe something I want to change about my character. And I would tell myself is, you already know what it feels like if I was like, say, to do the wrong thing. So say it's an action I'm trying to avoid. You already know what it feels like to do that action. And every single time you do it, you feel remorseful, you feel angry, and you tell yourself you're not going to do it again next time. And then you go ahead and do it again next time. You feel remorseful, you feel angry, and you tell yourself you're never going to do that again. So it's just the same damn cycle every time. So you already know what's going to happen when you do this thing wrong. You're going to get the same response you've gotten every other time, and every other time you've told yourself not to do it again. When will you finally listen? Or maybe it's something you do want to do. So you want to do the right thing. You want to do a thing rather than avoiding something. But every time you don't do it, okay, like the 6 a.m. cardio, like exercising that day or eating a good healthy breakfast, every time you don't do it, you feel remorseful, you feel angry, and you swear you're going to do it next time. But you don't do it. Then you get the same feelings, remorseful, angry, and you swear you're going to do it next time. So you already know what it feels like to get it wrong. Why repeat that feeling? If you already know what this bad action is going to bring, why do it? If you already know you're going to feel remorseful, if you already know you're going to feel angry, if you already know you're going to swear up and down all over again to do it right next time, why would you get it wrong today? Is it the work of doing the right thing that we're afraid of? Are we afraid it's going to be worse? Okay. Is it the guilt of feeling like a loser? If you can't keep up the new good thing, if you can't keep it going and you fail at keeping it going, is that going to feel any different? Do you feel like that's going to be worse? So chances are you feel like a loser now because you're not even starting. And you think you're going to feel any different if you try and fail and just become a loser again? So that's sometimes what happens. We, instead of trying and failing, we have the fear of that feeling like a failure. Okay, if when we try and fail. So instead of experiencing that pain, we stay in the pain of being a failure because we never started. So either way, you are a failure. You're actually a failure right now. No one's going to like this, and I'm talking to myself too. Okay, so stay with me here for a second. But if there's something that you'd like to change, and you've planned to change it over and over again, but you have yet to commit to it, why? Have you felt better each time you've made the plan, but then didn't follow through? No, probably not. You probably felt the same way I felt. You feel remorseful. You feel actually like angry at yourself that you weren't able to be strong enough to do the thing that you were supposed to do. You already know what those feelings feel like. And you don't like those feelings, do you? But yet you keep doing it over and over again. Is it because the fear of the alternative might be worse? You don't want to experience the benefits of what you're trying to do. See how good it could really be, but then fall off and not be able to keep it up and feel like a failure again. The fear of failing, okay, is keeping you as a failure. You are a failure if you don't try. And there would be failure in trying and not succeeding. But if you try something and you don't succeed at that moment, then failure is a moment. It is an event. But if you refuse to try, then you are a failure. Failure is an event. It is not an event if there's no action. It's a state of being. You are a failure. However, if you put action behind it and that action fails, then that is an event of failure. You are not a failure. You tried. You put actions. You did things. You're not a failure, okay? That moment failed. Those efforts failed. But you can try new efforts. You can try in another moment. You are not a failure if you try. But you are a failure if you don't. This is something that's important for us to recognize, is that trying something is who we are. Whether you do action or don't do action, that's who you are. You're a person who acts. Maybe those acts led to an unsuccessful event, but that doesn't mean you're a failure. It just meant those acts were a failure. You can always reanalyze, figure out a new approach, and try again. Okay? Even if those actions result in failure 10 times over, you're not a failure because you've tried 10 times. However, if you try 0 times, if you do not take action, then there is no event of failure. You are living in failure. You have decided to be a failure. Okay. So, we have to unravel this a little bit. What are the things that hold us back from attempting efforts? Often, it's going to be the fear of us attempting efforts and the efforts not being successful, and what that is going to feel like after that moment when we recognize our efforts failed. We don't like that feeling. We're fearful of that feeling. So, to feel better about us not trying, we have an excuse. We hold on to the protection of our excuses. Well, I can't try it because of this. So I'm not a failure. It's just that this thing is in the way. So our excuse is our protection against feeling like a failure. And because you have yet to try, you have a false sense of hope. That, oh, someday when that excuse is gone, I can then do X. So when my protection of my excuse is gone, I can then follow through with the actions and experience what I want to experience. So while we have the protection of our excuse, we have the positivity of hope. Of, oh, someday it'll be better. So we use our excuses to protect ourselves. and we use someday as our hope. But what has that gotten you so far? Chances are, if you've created this scenario, you have a dream, you have a goal, but you have an excuse that is the reason why you haven't yet reached that dream or goal. And that excuse being there still allows the dream or goal to be the hope, okay, the light at the end of the tunnel. And you're living in that scenario, okay? What has changed in the last week, the last month, the last year, the last 5 years or 10 years? Has anything changed? If you still are protected by that same excuse, if you're still hanging the hope of what it'll be someday when that excuse is gone, nothing has changed. Your life is not any worse, but your life is not any better. Chances are you're living in a cycle of remorse, a cycle of self-anger, a cycle of guilt. You're living without the dream, and you're learning to be okay with that. You are learning to be okay with never reaching your goals. Because in never reaching them and never trying for them and never putting in the effort for them, you get to live in the protection of your excuse, and you get to have that nice glimmering, shiny hope out in front of you of what it might someday be. But that excuse is always there, and that hope is always out of reach. So what this makes me think of is, and I think I have this correct, is the movie Beauty and the Beast. Okay, I believe there's a rose that's encased in glass in that movie. So my mom had a daycare she ran from our house. It was like a business within a house. And she did that for 30 some years. So I've watched a lot of Disney movies over the years. And I believe that's true, is in that movie Beauty and the Beast, there's the rose encased in glass. And that's what we end up creating for ourselves. Is the rose is our dream. The rose is our goal. And the glass is our excuse. So the rose looks pretty. And it probably smells beautiful. But we can't touch it and we can't smell it. Because it's encased in the glass, protected from the world. And actually protected from us. And us protected from it. If you take the glass case off and you were to grab the rose, you can smell the rose now. You can experience the rose. But you might also be pricked by one of its thorns. So with our dreams, with our goals, comes both beauty and pain. The beauty of what our life can be, and the pain it takes to earn that life. But it's only if we accept the thorns that we ever get to smell the rose. It's only if we accept the pain of earning achievements that we will ever get to experience those achievements. And here's the thing. You already know. You already know what pain feels like. Every day, you rely on your excuse. And every day, you fall behind further and further. Every day, you don't put effort in. Every day, you miss an opportunity to become better. You feel pain. You feel the pain of the remorse, feel the pain of the guilt, feel the pain of the anger. There's pain in not reaching your dreams. So you are already in pain. You already know what pain feels like. So why not trade that pain? If you're going to have to live in pain, and you'd have to, you either have to live in the pain of never reaching your goals and making mistakes day in, day out, relying on excuses day in, day out, never becoming who you were meant to be, what you want to achieve, never reaching your goals, never reaching your dreams. You're in pain. Or you could have the pain of the discipline and efforts it takes to reach your dreams and goals. The key is, with that pain also comes the beauty of getting to experience your dreams and goals. It's only if you grab the rose, thorns and all, that you can ever smell it. It's only if you embrace the pain of earning your dreams that you'll ever experience them. So if you're already living in pain, why not live in the pain that also allows you to experience the beauty? Okay? Every day you rely on the protection of your excuse, rather than casting that excuse aside and exposing yourself to the work that it'll take to overcome that excuse, to work around that excuse, to find another way, to find a way through it, rather than us putting in the work, okay, the pain of progress, the pain of earning our dreams. That's what we have to do. Why don't we do that? Why are we so willing to live in the pain of not moving forward? But yet we are afraid of the pain of moving forward towards our goals. Either way is in pain. Either way, you already know what pain feels like. Why not live with the pain that brings the beauty? Then live with the pain that leaves the beauty in the glass case. You can never experience it. You can never touch it. You'll never have it. So you remind yourself, when you have a daily goal, okay, maybe you're set the alarm at 6 a.m. and you're supposed to get up, but you've previously been hitting the snooze button. Maybe you're supposed to avoid, a glass or two of wine at night, or those extra snacks after dinner. And then every single day, the next day, you don't like the way you look every time you look in the mirror. Why would we live in that? Why? Why live in the pain of those repeated mistakes when we can instead live in the pain of earning our goals? The only reason why is it's a familiar pain. And somehow, this makes no sense, but somehow familiar pains can be comfortable. We're used to that pain. We already know what that pain feels like. So instead of us experiencing pain that can actually bring beauty, we stay in the familiar, comfortable pains that will always deny us the beauty of life. Always. So I challenge you. If you already know what hitting the snooze button feels like, if you already know what skipping breakfast feels like, if you already know what skipping your workout feels like, if you already know what overeating at night feels like, if you already know those pains and you've experienced them thousands of times, and every single time it's felt the same, and every single time it hasn't brought you any closer to your goals, I challenge you to trade your pain. Trade the pain of inaction for the pain of action, for the pain of efforts, for the pain of what it'll take to achieve your goals and dreams. You're going to be in pain either way. Why not make your pain count for something? If you already know what pain feels like, you can't possibly be afraid of it anymore. You're going to live in pain. You already know what it feels like. Make your pain count. Okay? Try for a new type of pain, but a pain that can somehow some way give you the possibility to still live your best life. Okay? Now, this is all wonderful words and they all sound good, but if you don't do anything with them, they mean nothing. So think about what you want to do tomorrow. Okay? Think of one action you can take tomorrow, or one inaction. Okay? Trying to avoid something that's a bad thing, or trying to do something that's a good thing. Think of something you can do tomorrow that might take discipline. It might take effort. You might not like doing it, but that's at least a discomfort that'll move you forward rather than a discomfort that keeps you where you are. Okay? Think of something, even if it's small, just something, and do it. Make your first step. Okay? It's right in front of you. Chances are you already know what it is. Take the step right now. Take it today. Why wait till tomorrow? Take it today. Okay? Now, if you need any help, email us, brutalironjim@gmail.com. If somehow you don't know what the next step is or the first step or any of that stuff, email us. We'll help you. Okay? We'll figure it out or we'll find somebody who knows. But we will work together with you to make sure that if you want to take that step, that you have the right step to take and we set up a good game plan, okay? But remind yourself that you already know what it feels like to do the wrong thing. You've done it 1,000 times over and it's going to be the same damn feeling the next time you do it. So why not try something new? Why not try a discomfort or a pain? Why not put yourself out there for something that can bring improvements rather than something that just brings the same damn thing every day? Okay? Hope this helps. I really, really, really do. So like I said, this is what I use to motivate myself. This is how I gave up ice cream for a year. It's how I did 6 a.m. cardio every day for 10 months. So I've done it many times over, multiple times over with different goals. So this can be more than words. You just have to follow it up with actions. Okay? Cool. If you like the podcast, please share it with family and friends. The more people we help, the happier the world will be. Also, if you like this information, you can find more from us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Brutal Iron Gym. And if you have any questions, feedback, or suggestions, we'd love to hear from you. The podcast is for you, so we want to know what you want to learn about. And you can tell us at our email at brutalironjim@gmail.com. As always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening. And thank you for watching.